Hi friends, welcome back to another video. If you are brand new here and you've never seen my face before, thank you so much for stopping by and taking time out of your day to watch this video. I hope your day is amazing. For today's video, I figured I would share with you guys my most anticipated reads for 2025 / releases, I mean. So if you want to see what I'm most excited for in the bookish world in 2025, then go ahead and continue watching. So for the first book in 2025 that I was most excited for, I actually had the opportunity to read as an ARC, and it's already been released, and that is Feast of Fools by Naomi Loud. I've talked about it before on my channel and a little bit on my Instagram page as well. I read my first ever Naomi Loud book last year, and that was A Dance Macabre, and that book absolutely knocked it out of the park. It was so amazing, and honestly, for a dark romance book, I felt like it was on the darker side without going into a level of too dark that just made it uncomfortable. There was some uncomfortable moments in the book. Make sure you're checking your content warnings and trigger warnings before you ever read a book. But I think that the Perverse City series by Naomi Loud is truly an amazing series if you're a dark romance lover like me. But I had the opportunity to read Feast of Fools, and Feast of Fools follows Gemini Foley's story, and he is the servant of the god of trickery, and it's about him kidnapping a special someone to use as his, how you would say, doll. And it truly had me like, oh, but then at some moments I was like, oh. So, you know, if you like dark romance and those are the kind of vibes that you're looking for, you should definitely check out A Feast of Fools by Naomi Loud. So another book that I'm very excited for in 2025 is going to be by one of my favorite authors, Aiden Thomas, and that is Espiritu. This is the second part of the Cemetery Boys series, and Espiritu, I'm pretty sure, is going to be in Julian's perspective. I think the first book was in Yadriel's perspective for the most part. I don't know if there was any Julian chapters in there at all, but we are getting Julian's perspective in the second book. Now, I am excited to see the script get flipped, so that way we get a different perspective in book 2. There were a little bit of loose ends that we still need to tie up from book 1, so I'm excited to see what adventures that Julian and Yadriel get into in book 2, and truly I am counting down the days until September when this book gets released. All good things eventually come to an end, and that is the case with the Rebel Blue Ranch series by Lila Sage. We are getting the last book in the Rebel Blue series, and that is Wild and Wrangled. This book is going to follow Camille, and I'm pretty sure his name is Dusty. Do not quote me on that. I think it's Dusty. But it follows Camille and Dusty's story, and if you've read Lost and Lassoed, then you know that Camille kind of had shit really hit the fan, and her life is a little bit in shambles, and Dusty kind of rolls up at the right moment, and I guess we'll find out what happens with them in Wild and Wrangled. But there is a special place in my heart that I will always hold for not only Rebel Blue, but Lila Sage in general. She really has a way of writing cowboy romances that feel like home, and every single one of the writer siblings, as well as Meadowlark, Wyoming, and just Rebel Blue Ranch in general feels like home to me, and I am so excited to go back and get that feeling for the very last time. But I've heard that we do get to visit Rebel Blue occasionally in another series that she's writing in the future, so I will be excited to read that as well. But Wild and Wrangled is definitely one of my most anticipated releases of 2025. It couldn't possibly be a romantasy and matcha video, post, favorite author tag, whatever it may be, without mentioning my girl Kennedy Ryan. I am pumped for Can't Get Enough. It is the last book, from what I know, in the Skyland series, and we are covering the last friend story, and that is Hendrix. If you've ever read any of the Skyland series before, you would know that Hendrix is really that girl. She's the cool aunt, the rich aunt. She is always there for her friends when she needs them, but she knows that you can never take life too seriously and you have to have fun, and that is the main thing that I love about Hendrix, is she is a constant reminder for me that no matter how crazy life gets, you have to remember to have fun and find good in the craziness that's going on. So I'm excited to see where Kennedy Ryan goes with Hendrix's story and to learn more about Hendrix as well. So another release that I'm excited for in 2025 is actually for a series that I have yet to finish. I need to catch up. I need to catch up. But as we get closer to the release date and the hype is building for this release, I want to be able to be a part of that and really experience what it's like to be a part of this fan base. But the release that I am excited for is Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. Through the years, I've heard so many amazing things about the Legendborn cycle, and we just went on vacation a few weeks ago, and I needed a book to listen to on the plane, and conveniently I transferred my audiobook subscription service from Audible to Libro FM. If you haven't already done that, you should definitely make the switch. Libro FM, you can support local bookstores and local book businesses. I did decide to support my local Black and queer owned bookstore. But since I made the switch to Libro FM, I figured that I would also, they had a sale that they were running where you get 1 credit, or buy 1 credit, you get 1 free. So I went ahead and purchased Legendborn and Bloodmarked, I think is the second one. And so I decided to listen to that on the plane as I was going to Orlando last week. And when I tell you that this book genuinely hit all the marks of a fantasy book for all the things that I personally love, within the first hour, I was hooked, immediately hooked. I still need to finish the first book as well as listen to the second book, but I'm doing it over a series of weeks so that way I am kind of in the hype period of when we're building up for the major hype for when Oathbound comes out, because I want to be able to be like, yeah, I understand what you guys are talking about, and yeah, I get it, or oh yeah, she did that, or oh yeah, he did that. I want to be able to experience that in real time, so I am very, very, very excited for Oathbound to come out. So another book that I am excited that will release in 2025 is A Curse Carved in Bone by Danielle L. Jensen. I liked the first book. When I say I liked the first book, I enjoyed it because it was rooted in, I'm pretty sure it's Norse mythos, and the fact that it dealt with the gods and goddesses of Norse mythology. Where I kind of get a little bit hung up with A Curse Carved in Bone and why I wouldn't be as excited for it as I want to be is in the first book, A Fate Inked in Blood, I found that the pacing was just not consistent, and so I get a little bit worried now that we're done with book 1 and it's only supposed to be a duology and we are kind of at the peak point of the plot for the duology, how the pacing will go from there. Because remember, when you're looking at a plot chart when you're writing a story, you hit the top of the plot and then you really have to come down from there. I'm hoping that with the come down part, the pacing is a little bit better. I need the pacing to be a little bit more consistent for this series to maintain my interest. I'm still very excited for A Curse Carved in Bone, but those are my main concerns when it comes to this book and this release specifically. So it wouldn't be a Kiani's anticipated or Kiani's excited about video without me being excited for and anticipating something that I know absolutely zero about. And that is that I am excited for the second book in the Blood of Hercules series to come out. Now, I have not even read book number 1. And when I heard that book number 2 was coming out this year, I was like, okay, I'm going to save it until when it gets closer to book 2 coming out. And let me tell you why I'm excited for this book. Those of you that know me know that I am deep into thirst trap TikTok. I was in competition with my friends and my sister as well too a few months ago about trying to just post the raunchiest thirst traps and or not post but repost the most raunchiest thirst traps, and needless to say I never really did a good job. Somehow that landed me on Blood of Hercules TikTok, where the audiobook came into play, and I was knee deep in the TikTok trenches of Blood of Hercules TikTok, and that was enough to sell me that I need to be excited for book 2. So when I do eventually read book 1, I will be excited for that as well too. But I am excited for book 2 to come out so that way I can read them closer together and I don't have to wait like 90% of the other people that read it last year did. So I am excited for book 2 to come out. Keeping on track with being excited about things I know nothing about, I am excited for Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I have all of Ali Hazelwood's books back when I was a book dragon and just collecting books left and right because I wanted to collect physical books. But I wasn't really sold on any of her books that I was like, oh my God, I need to read them right now. These sound so good. And I kept pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off. Here we are today. I still have yet to read any of Ali Hazelwood's work. But there was something about Deep End and the way, or excuse me, I think it was called Whet first, Whet, and then she decided to change the title of it. But there was just something about that book and the hype that was around it and just kind of like how she marketed it that had me like, okay, this is going to be my first Ali Hazelwood book, and I think I'm genuinely going to like it. I did receive a copy from Berkeley, so thank you, Berkeley, for the free book. But I'm excited to read Deep End. I think it's going to be really, really good. I've never really read any type of romance in that kind of subgenre, and so it'll be the first, and I'm excited to try new things in 2025, so we're looking forward to Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. Another author that crawled her way into my black heart last year was Ashley Poston. If you've ever read an Ashley Poston book before, you know that she just has a way with her words and her writing style that absolutely captivate a lot of people, and I am one of those people. I ate up The Dead Romantics and 7 Years Slip. I did not get a chance to read her book that she released last year as well, but she is coming out with a new one in 2025, and that is Sounds Like Love. It's Ashley Poston. I don't even know what the book is about. I'm excited for it because it's Ashley Poston, and I love Ashley Poston, so I am excited to read Sounds Like Love, as well as her other book that she released in 2024 in 2025. Another author that I am excited to read their 2025 release, where I've never read a single one of their other books before, is going to be A Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. And the reason that I'm excited to read this one over all of her other books is because with authors like Emily Henry, where there's so much hype built around their books, I like to read the newest releases first and then work my way backwards. So I will be reading A Great Big Beautiful Life and then reading the rest of her backlog. But from what I hear from a lot of the people that I know that have read Emily Henry books before is that she is one of the queens of romance books, and I want to read more of like just your typical romance books in 2025. So I'm excited to dive in and start my Emily Henry journey with A Great Big Beautiful Life in 2025. Another book that I am excited to read in 2025, or that I'm just anticipated for its release, is going to be Sunrise on the Reaping. When I was a teenager, my favorite book genre was dystopian fiction, dystopian fantasy, whatever that may be. I was obsessed with Divergent and The Hunger Games and The Maze Runner, any and all of those series. Most likely, if I didn't read the books, I saw the movies. Hunger Games is one of those series. I've seen the movies, never read the books. I'm hoping that I can read the Hunger Games series in 2025, but if I don't, I will probably just jump right in blindly for Sunrise on the Reaping, because from what I hear from the people that have read the Hunger Games books is that Haymitch's backstory is not only tragic, but his games specifically are very tragic. And for those of you that have seen the Hunger Games, you know that the games in general are just very traumatizing and tragic all on their own. And so I think that reading dystopian fiction in this day and age is not necessarily a bad thing. And so I kind of want to dive back into some of that dystopian literature that I haven't read in a really long time. So I'm excited to dive back into that with Sunrise on the Reaping. And last but certainly not least, one of my most anticipated releases for 2025 is going to be Scythe and Sparrow by Brynne Weaver. I was like totally in love with Butcher and Blackbird last year. I just think that it was such a fun and interesting dark romance read. Brynne, I love you, but I could never, ever, ever eat cookies and cream ice cream again. I honestly struggle with ice cream. So I just want to thank you for that. It's probably made me skinnier in the long run. But Brynne has such a way of making these comedic dark romances that just have me keep coming back for more. And I can't wait to see what she dives into with Fion's story. And I heard there's a little bit of a circus element in that one as well too. So I'm excited to see where she goes in Scythe and Sparrow. And those are my most anticipated reads for 2025. If you made it to the very, very end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you more than you know. Tell me down below in the comment box what you are most excited for and looking forward to in 2025, whether that be book releases, life goals, vacations you have coming up, places you want to go, anything. Tell me down below in the comment box. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!